Coming up on Broncos Connected.
From the 15th pick all the way to number 254, we'll introduce you to the entire 2020 Broncos draft class.
Shelby Harris and Noah Fant point out some of their favorite matchups on the 2020 schedule.
And Denver's strength and conditioning coach, Loren Landow, shares how he's using technology to virtually train the Broncos during this global pandemic.
Broncos Connected is next.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Empower Field at Mile High. As this afternoon, far in the pocket, he's going to be hit and sacked back at the 30-yard line. Inside the 10, inside the 5, he's got a Denver touchdown.
Welcome to Broncos Connected.
Every NFL hopeful has dreamt of being drafted, sitting backstage, anxiously waiting to hear their name called, pridefully putting on their new team's hat before walking across the stage to shake the commissioner's hand. This year, due to the coronavirus pandemic, that dream could not become a reality for the class of 2020. Instead, they sat at home with a handful of loved ones as Roger Goodell announced the names of the newest members of the NFL from his basement in Bronxville, New York.
A virtual draft may not have been what these players envisioned, but dreams still came true.
Jerry John Elway, congratulations.
10 players received a phone call from Broncos President of Football Operations and General Manager John Elway, as well as Coach Fangio throughout the 3-day draft, as Elway and company added one weapon after another for quarterback Drew Lock, all the while shoring up some key defensive positions as well. The Broncos are feeling pretty good about their 2020 draftees, but what did the media have to say about Denver's 2020 draft class?
Let's talk Broncos. I love their draft. I love their offense. Elway said Denver needed some pass catchers. What did they do? They used their first 2 picks on wide receivers.
And Jerry Jeudy is in the end zone.
It feels like the Broncos are suiting up to take on the Chiefs and just getting ready for battle.
They wanted to get Drew, the guy with the swag on the sideline, singing the Young Jeezy lyrics, a little something for his offense.
Going for the end zone, Hamler, yep, second of the game.
Look, KJ Hamler, I want to talk about him. He was a demon at Penn State, a speed demon.
KJ Hamler in the clear.
So you take those 2 great receivers and coupled with the fact that the Denver Broncos had a great draft last year.
Throws it in, caught for the touchdown. Grab by Fant.
They took Drew Lock a season ago, gave him the keys to the offense, and so the second year is about surrounding him with playmakers. And man, did they surround him with nice toys.
Lock, there it is, Alberto, and oh my, touchdown.
And I like that they continued to try to upgrade the offensive line, taking Lloyd Cushenberry out of LSU, high-quality center there in the 3rd round.
It's all there on paper, and yet, is Drew Lock the guy? We'll see, and he'll know very quickly if he's able to compete with Mahomes and the Chiefs. I'm sure we'll know right away if this team is for real.
Time now to learn more about the members that make up one of the top draft classes of 2020.
The Broncos began the 2020 draft by selecting the player many considered the best route runner in this year's group. Few people, including John Elway, expected Alabama wideout Jerry Jeudy to be on the board for the Broncos at number 15. The former All-American and Biletnikoff Award winner knows there is still plenty of work to be done, and he'll have to learn from one of the AFC's best receivers, Courtland Sutton.
Very excited to work with him. You know, he's a Pro Bowl receiver that I could learn a lot from, and I'm ready to make plays beside him.
Elway would then double down on playmaking wideouts on day 2, adding Penn State speedster KJ Hamler in the 2nd round. Many believe the former Nittany Lion has elite speed, making him valuable as a slot receiver and kick returner. Hamler believes his attitude might be his biggest asset when he arrives in the Mile High City.
I'm a playmaker and I got a chip on my shoulder at all times. You know, I've been an underdog my whole life, so being in this situation right now and being part of the Broncos organization is amazing. So I'm going to get them 150%.
In the 3rd round, Iowa cornerback Michael O.J. Mudia became the first defensive player to join the Broncos 2020 draft class. After leading the Hawkeyes in interceptions and passes defensed last year, O.J. Mudia could figure heavily into the competition to be the Broncos' third corner behind A.J. Boye and Bryce Callahan.
I plan to bring just a hard-nosed, physical guy, a guy that makes plays, just a guy that's going to set the tone every time he's out there. I'm definitely going to bring some grittiness to that DB room.
The starting center for the national champion LSU Tigers was next off the board to Denver, with Lloyd Cushenberry trading the Bayou for the Rocky Mountains. Cushenberry anchored the SEC's best offensive line these past 2 years and could earn a starting spot by week 1.
I know it's going to be different from a college system, but I feel like I'm ready for that challenge, and I look forward to it.
The Broncos continue to add leaders and smart football players by selecting McTelvin Agim with their 95th overall pick. Agim sets the tone with his relentless hustle on the field, and he could be a reliable asset for the Broncos as a guy who didn't miss a single game throughout his 4-year college career, including 40 starts.
I feel like I can be very versatile. You can put me in on first through fourth down, and I can help make a play.
The final day of the draft began with John Elway taking one of Drew Lock's favorite targets from Missouri. Tight end Albert Okwuegbunam not only provides Locke with a familiar face and instant chemistry, he's also another athletic target that cannot be ignored, especially in the red zone.
Being able to create plays all over the field, need me to move the chains, I'll do that for you. If you're in the red zone, I'm going to score there for you.
Vic Fangio loves fundamental tacklers, and that's exactly what the Broncos got with inside linebacker Justin Strnad in the 5th round. Injuries limited Strnad to just 7 games last year, but he believes he can find a solid comfort level within the Broncos defense right away.
I'm going to come in, I'm going to do whatever I can from a special team standpoint along with the defensive standpoint to help this team win.
After turning heads with 44 reps on the bench press at the Combine, Fresno State's Natani Muti continued his NFL journey by landing with the Broncos in round 6. While a lengthy injury history likely pushed his selection later than he would have wanted, he says he is out to prove that Denver got the steal of the draft.
I feel like I'm a first-round talent, and that's all I ever wanted, just a little faith, and I'm going to do my thing. That's all I know.
The 7th round started with the Broncos heading back to the SEC, taking their 3rd wide receiver of the draft, Tyree Cleveland. At 6'2" with 4.4 speed, Cleveland knows reps on offense will need to be earned, and that a role on special teams might be the way to showcase his skills early.
I feel like I can help them by doing that in the offensive side and also playing special teams. So, I'm looking forward to it, how everything play out.
Denver's final pick hails from FCS powerhouse North Dakota State. Outside linebacker Derek Tuska was the last draftee to hear his name called. Tuska's athleticism and speed on the edge could help him earn playing time on special teams, while getting a doctorate-level education in pass rushing behind 2 of the league's best in Von Miller and Bradley Chubb.
I know I'm going to learn a lot. Those are actually 2 guys that I watch a lot of film of already, just trying to take some of their game and try to incorporate it a little bit into mine. So I'm looking forward to getting into that room and just picking their brain and learning as much as I can from them.
We know you'll be looking for these first-year players as they take the field this season, so keep an eye out for these new numbers.
Coming up on Broncos Connected, Denver's 2020 season schedule is set. Shelby Harris and Noah Fant will help you decide which games you should be circling on your calendar after the break.
While COVID-19 has played spoiler for most other leagues across the nation and throughout the world, the NFL is hopeful the 2020 season will go on as scheduled. If all goes as planned, the Broncos will kick off their 2020 season at Empower Field at Mile High on Monday Night Football. Here's a look at Denver's season schedule, subject to change.
This season, the Broncos will play 3 primetime games, including the season opener at home against the Titans on Monday night. For Week 4, the Broncos will face off against the Jets in a Thursday night matchup, and Week 13 at Arrowhead in a Sunday night football showdown with the Kansas City Chiefs. Alexis discussed these matchups and more with Shelby Harris and Noah Fant.
I love the primetime games. I think they're, it's a great time. It's kind of like all eyes on you, and you really, as a player, you love to make big plays on primetime.
Well, Week 3, Tom Brady will return to the Mile High City. Noah, when you entered the NFL last season, did you ever think that the first time that you would face Tom Brady that he'd be wearing a Tampa Bay Buccaneers jersey?
I did not. Obviously he brought Gronk along with him to Tampa Bay. So obviously for me specifically at the tight end position, Gronk being one of the all-time best, that's gonna be a really cool experience.
You won't see your first AFC West foe until Week 7 when the Kansas City Chiefs come to town. Are you looking forward to going head-to-head with the definition of an explosive offense in the Kansas City Chiefs?
Yeah, I'm super excited. I think Mr. Elway did a great job of drafting, different receivers, any offensive skill positions that we needed to kind of take our offense to the next step.
It's always going to be that rivalry there. But just the fact that the Super Bowl champions are in our division is, that fire that we need to just get over the hump.
Now that you've seen this schedule, how much confidence do you have in this team heading into this 2020 season?
I think the confidence is high just from all the pieces we've added. And I'm very confident. I truly believe that, it's going to be a breakout season for us.
Just excited to get with these guys, and obviously, whenever we can get back to practice and create that bond with them, create that chemistry, and, see just how good we can be.
While we're all hoping to see those two and the entire Broncos roster September 14th for the home opener, the league is ready to make adjustments to the schedule according to the latest COVID-19 medical advice. So what does that mean for season ticket holders and those of you who are planning to buy single game tickets?
If a game is canceled or for whatever reason played with no fans, if you're a season ticket holder, you will receive a full refund for that game. If you're an individual game buyer, I highly recommend purchasing through Ticketmaster, our partner. If you've bought your ticket through Ticketmaster, you will receive a full refund. If you're purchasing through another site, please check that site's terms and conditions on how they handle a canceled event. Our final payment deadline for season tickets is early June. And so we are staying on schedule for that. We are working with season ticket holders. We understand that this is a unique time. So if you are scheduled to make an upcoming payment and have some questions or concerns behind that, certainly reach out to the ticket office.
Still to come on Broncos Connected. Strength and conditioning coach Loren Landow gives us a glimpse into some of the creative ways he's getting the Broncos physically prepared for the upcoming season in the midst of the COVID-19 outbreak.
Welcome back to Broncos Connected. From virtual OTA meetings to natural ice bath therapy, players and coaches have been resourceful and creative in figuring out ways to prepare for the upcoming season. Strength and conditioning coach Loren Landow has been challenged in ways to help players stay in season-ready shape. Matt Boyer looks at those challenges and some of the unique ways Landow meets and monitors the players virtually.
How did your staff get ready to implement the voluntary off-season workout program with all the challenges that come with the pandemic?
That's a great question. I think we kind of saw the writing on the wall that this might keep us out of phase 1 and phase 2 and potentially phase 3. So what we did is right when this happened, middle of March, we reached out to our vendors and we asked our vendors to come up with an equipment menu item that we could provide to our players that they could then in turn purchase for their garage, a spare room in their house, or their gym in their house. So I think from that standpoint, we were on the front end of it, just seeing what it was looking like. And we had so many of our players really take up these equipment menu options that we put forward for them. And then what we also did is we went and we filmed over 200 exercises, and then we put them into an online database where our players could then have access to the voluntary suggested protocols to have their exercises right in front of them. That was exciting to hear. The guys are actually, looking at it and they're utilizing it. But I think they were surprised of how much detail we went into.
We had a chance to catch up with Drew, I believe it was last week, and he mentioned that you had been in discussions with his trainer, making sure that he gets the work that he needs. Is that pretty common, guys finding, trainers where they are and then kind of relaying to you what they need?
So it's funny enough, every offseason I provide guys a list of 30 facilities around the country that I sit here and say, these are facilities that I trust and that I would hang my hat on for. And so some of our players had already been working with some people like that, and some of our players have found their way to those types of coaches. So for me, it's not uncommon to have people reach out to me. I had trainers reaching out to me right after the draft who had worked with different players that we drafted. And so they're kind of giving me the 411 on the players, and hey, great work ethic, great guy, so they're giving me a little bit of a heads up. So it does happen. And, with Drew's trainer, he and I have had discussions, from last year through the early off season here. And, Drew was in great hands with him.
Have the expectations for your staff changed at all with regards to what condition you want to see the players in come training camp?
I think, you look at this thing from a few different ways, based on what type of equipment do guys have. But I think the number one thing is, players need to get out and they need to do movement. You can't just bottle yourself up inside and be in the weight room and not go out and do the things that are really the biggest key elements of the sport, and that's sprinting, change of direction. Those types of things are super important. So I think from that standpoint, I'm hopeful. And from some of the things you see on social media, it looks like our guys are getting out and doing that kind of thing. But I think the other standpoint is our players are pros, and they know what Coach Fangio expects of them, and they know what Coach Fangio's staff expects of them. So I know our guys will be working, and they'll put in their best foot forward to be ready when the time comes.
I know some of the guys, you mentioned the social media workouts, have gotten pretty creative with their workouts. Some guys have been in the woods, I've seen. Have you been pretty impressed with their creativity?
Oh, there's been some great stuff, and the thing that I love is there's the creativity aspect, but then there's been the gauntlet of challenges put out too, like, hey, I'm doing my work, are you doing your work? And so it's nice to see our players kind of extending that leadership, if you will, from a social media platform to say, hey, I've done my work, have you done your work? And so it's really exciting to see, because I think we're going to find out, who our pros are and who are our guys who are really dedicated on the direction we're going.
Coming up after the break, a new episode of KJack TV that will have you in stitches.
Thanks for sticking with us for this final segment of Broncos Connected. As a reminder, you can stay up to date on all the latest storylines surrounding your Denver Broncos by tuning in to Broncos TV every weeknight at 6:30 on KTVD Channel 20, or check out the broadcast tab on the Broncos YouTube channel to see other great Broncos programming throughout the week.
Another great piece of content you can find on the web is KJack TV. We figured there's no better way to wrap up this month's edition of Broncos Connected than with a look at the latest episode. Broncos Country, thank you so much for watching Broncos Connected. And without further ado, this is KJack TV.
Congrats on signing back too, man.
Yeah, man, I'm happy to be back, man. Can't get enough of KJack.
Hey, I know. All right. No, that's the damn lie. That's a damn lie. You come on my show and lie to me, man. All right. You've been on KJack TV before, man. We're going to jump right in it, man. We got a couple questions for you. First question. Which of your teammates would be good to give a graduation speech?
Graduation speech? I had to say Justin, man. Justin Simmons for sure.
Why is Justin? I'm sure everybody know why you picked Justin, man.
I'll say Justin. Definitely Justin Simmons. He's one of those guys I can see like a J.J. Watt type guy. Be up there giving graduation speeches to college.
Right. Somebody else said Chubb. Chubb said J2.
In the presence of a great speaker, he got the calmness in his voice and all that, and I feel like he just, deliver a good speech.
Man, Jay fooling people, man.
He fits the mold of just like a well-polished college speaker.
Y'all don't know Jay like I know Jay.
I know him, but I'm
gonna let everybody believe this Walter Payton Man of the Year story. I know Jay. I know he ain't what he all cracked up to be. I love you, Jay.
Todd Davis.
Todd?
I think Todd Davis would give a hell of a speech, man.
I'm not saying Todd's not wise, but it's just it's a lot more guys in there. I'm gonna pick to give that graduation ceremony speech before I pick Todd, and that's no knock on Todd. Todd's my guy. Sorry, Todd. Hey, Todd, when you see this, I'm sorry, man. All right, well, which one of your teammates you would never pick to give a graduation speech?
DeMarcus Walker. That's easy. I'm talking about that's easy. That's easy.
Oh, man.
Shelby for sure. Shelby. Yeah, Shelby, you couldn't understand what he was saying sometimes.
Oh, terrible.
For sure, Shelby.
Oh, man. D-Walk, man, if you see this, man, you ain't got to worry about giving no graduation speeches, man. All right, dog, man, we appreciate you joining us today, man. All right, Shelby, man, appreciate you coming on KJack TV, man. The quarantine edition, man. Broncos Country, we out.